And okay, you're hired. So I started as a salesperson, but in IMP, salesperson has to do lots of things. And first I started with order taking. So I come in at 3 a.m. And by that time, like I was living an hour away from the company. So I have to leave at 2 a.m. when my friends are like partying. I'm like, oh. Then I get there and I listen to what chef left on the answering machine, and I write everything. Name of the customer, and what they ordered, one piece of fluke, 2.5 pound to 3 pound. And write down everything and separate it into different sections. And at 5 o'clock, we start packing. And so I change and I go into the floor, I pack the fish with all the guys. And then like around like 7 o'clock, we have customer comes in to pick up the fish. It was a very unique thing about IMP. We have a real section for chefs to be able to prepare the fish, and they love coming to pick the fish, even though like we pick the fish and hold it, but they like coming and feel like they're doing it. And so it gets really busy and hectic. We have to push the delivery. Then we have to prep for this pickup customer. And so that's how you learn in IMP, like touching fish and selecting the fish, being busy, and then knowing what you're shipping. And so we did that a lot. And I learned a great deal about customers' preferences and how to pick the whole fish and how to pack it, and all those things are trained. And so one day, so IMP, the 90% of the customer base, I would say the sushi customer back then. And we are really focusing on a sushi market. And like the 2 companies out there, but we are one of the biggest. And so one day, so there's only 2 customers back then. Masa's San Francisco, which was run by Ron Siegel. And also we had a customer called Charlie Torres in Chicago. Those are the 2 major customers, but only customer from Western world. And one day, I hear people talking, oh, like somebody from Napa called, it's called French Laundry. What a funny name. And I'm like, what? French Laundry? The French Laundry? And I'm like, come on. So I just called, and I talked to the chef, Eric Ziebold, back then, and I set up the account. And they're looking for the highest quality of variety of seafood. And so that's where my sushi and Western restaurant relationship started. And from there, like, I got to know more chefs in the Western world, and they asked me lots of questions. What is this? And a very simple question, I have no answer. And for example, like they ask about knives. Then I dig into information, like then it goes back, small information goes back to like a couple hundred years back. And like, and it goes back to the knife, and like what kind of steel they're using. And I was blown away by the amount of information and history in every single thing deal with sushi. And that's how I regained the respect towards my country. And I left Japan, didn't want to be trapped, and I wanted to do something else, and I left. But fish business really made me realize Japan has something really great about Japan, and I think I should get to know more. And so that part of the passion kept me going with this job, and I love eating. And so that kept me going. And so I had an opportunity. It was a great time to be in IMP. That was the time when foodies started to come out. And American food scene changed in these 15 years tremendously. And the Iron Chef comes in, and the Top Chef comes in. People started talking about food differently. And the people are so curious about things that they've never heard of, and they've never eaten, or like they're so proud to knowing those things. And that didn't happen before. And also the sustainability comes in. And nobody knew, what, sustainability, like that, too much hassle. But especially Japanese chefs, they're not good at it. But luckily I had a contact with Western chefs, and they are so keen on it, especially imagine the Bay Area. And so that was a great thing. And so then I was introduced to this Kinki University products. So there's a Kinki University really exists. And so Kinki is the name of the region in Japan where Osaka is located. And this Kinki University, and they are the pioneer of farm-raised bluefin. And they take the wild bluefin and then makes them hatch the egg, takes the egg, and they cultivate the egg, makes the next generation, and next generation gives a birth, and they cultivate the egg to adult. So that's a complete farming, which is very difficult to do. It took them 32 years to achieve, and they're still a leading and a pioneer of those technologies. And I was really, really touched and inspired, and also I was blown away by the quality. So the end of my San Francisco time, Bay Area time, I was promoting those fish to those high-end restaurants to have the awareness of sustainability and conservation and stuff like that. Then one day, this guy who imports Hindai fish asked me, "Are you interested in going to East Coast? I know you love eating." And I'm like, yeah. So there's a small company in New Jersey. They handle Hindai fish. Are you interested in going? I'm like, okay, I'm not married, I don't have a kid, I'm so light, I don't even own a house. So why don't I go now? So I just moved. And that was the hardest move I did. Slower pace, California to East Coast, and I didn't have connection with chefs. So I have to do the cold sales, and I have to go one by one. And an East Coast restaurant is tough because you have hostess, and you don't have a back door to go in. Like you have to open the hatch, and you can't go in there. So you have to go from the front, and they go, "Oh, you have an appointment with a chef? No? You come back." "Yes, I see you later." I'm like, okay. And it was really, really discouraging. But luckily, the Per Se and the Del Posto opened up the door for me. And so like, that time was chef Jonathan Beno. And he told me, "There's so many companies, we deal with so many companies already. I don't really need you. But this one thing I want, and bring it in. And you can start there." And it was a live abalone. So I started bringing live abalone from California. From there, I started importing more Japanese fish through this small company. And I packed super nicely. And I started to bring more Japanese restaurant into a company. And also start shipping to Chicago. And so that's that. So this small company, Sona, I worked. It was a teeny tiny, but it was a wonderful small company with good people. And there, I was introduced to more East Coast fish. In West Coast, we bring East Coast fishing because there's more sashimi species in East Coast. But it was very difficult. We are promised to get something, they don't ship it. "Oh, we didn't get it, we didn't ship it." And then you open the box, half of it is junk. And so it was really difficult to deal with. So we are always focusing on Japanese fish. And here, and I see more species, and but once again, quality is hit and miss. When it is great, it's great. But like most of it, Japanese fish, from the harvest to here, it takes 3 days to get here at least. And from there, you send to the restaurant, and the restaurant uses it for another 2-3 days, sometimes like 4 days. And they last. So you are looking at like 1 week. And East Coast fish, if I get it 1 day, second day, it's the same as Japanese 7 days. And that much difference. And so I'm like, that got me a handling. Fish seafood is all about handling from the beginning. If you take care of it like a baby and a draw, and it lasts for a long time. Oh, I didn't do this. How do I turn this on? Okay, hold on. that's me in IMP. Okay. Where was it? Yeah, so I was really wondering, how can we change this? Ocean is here, and I'm importing all those fish. Then I met that guy right there in a pink shirt, and his name is Michael McNicholas, and I met him in 2009 when I moved to New Jersey. And he called me out of nowhere, and we became friends. And so whenever we get together for drinking or dinner, we talk about this local fish and how can we make it better? And there's gotta be a better way. And we talked about it for 4 years. And then he came up with this name, American Sashimi. So that was the concept of use the local fish and apply Japanese method and bring the quality up to a Japanese level and sell it in America. And he was working for the company called Uoriki Fresh, which I'm belonging to right now. Uoriki Fresh is a subsidiary of Uoriki Japan. And Uoriki Japan is one of the biggest buyer in renowned Tsukiji market. And they have like 40 to 60 like retail fish store. And some of them sell 100,000 a week. And it's a big fish company. So Michael pitched this idea of American sashimi, and he got approved. And he called me, Mika, I got approved by this, by the headquarters. Are you interested? So I said yes. Then so I quit Sona and I moved to Uoriki. So Uoriki Fresh is different from Uoriki Japan. They are specializing in super frozen products, which is minus 76 Fahrenheit. And minus 76 is a temperature where you preserve the moment. So like all those dead, rich dead people, they wanted to preserve themselves, and they keep that temperature, and they're gonna be there, and hoping to come back. So that is a temperature. So they are specializing in that. So my job in Uoriki is sourcing local fish, bring it to the plant, either like wild or aquaculture fish, and we process in the plant to the skin of fillet, and super freeze it, package it, and sell it. And I never done it. And like, oh, processing. And so I'm in seafood for a long time. Doesn't mean I'm a good cutter. I'm a criticizer. I know how the good thing looks like, but I don't do it. Michael's like, oh, go in the production room, just do it. I'm like, okay. And so I started doing it. Then I realized, oh, I kind of know. I can figure this out. I know how it's supposed to look like. And from there, I trained myself to criticize even more and quality check. And then I relate the quality question back to the vendor or the farmers, and also develop the specification, food safety, and all those things. So that most of the aquaculture farms are so happy with my feedback, not the wild fishermen. They're like, oh, okay, like we are great, and I don't want to hear you, kind of. So it's been a difficult thing, but that's what I've been doing with Uoriki Fresh, and I'm leaving Uoriki the end of this month, and I'll be a freelance consultant. So I'm really looking forward to explore my new horizon, and I want to be able to be in multiple locations and like collaborate with people that is really passionate about things. So that's gonna be Mika 2018. And so that's enough for myself. So I'm gonna move on to fish topic. Okay. So I want to talk a difference between Japan and America. And we have all good and bad. And Japan, we are great at detail, but we get caught up with details and we forget about the bigger picture. And we do things so slow because we have such a tradition, and we are caught up with tradition, and making change is difficult. maybe because of that, we are good at executing things in certain way. And America, we don't have tradition here. And since some of the things are like behind, but once America focus and realize something is good, change comes quickly. And it shows like how much food scene changed in 15 years, that shows. And so I think it's about time to apply that to seafood. So there's a big thing in Japan, not big, like a normal thing in Japan called shun. Shun is a concept of when is the best time to eat something, or when is the best time for something, right? So we have 4 seasons just like East Coast, and every month we have the specific flower comes in, and that's in the calendar. And we have specific vegetable comes in the season, just like America. And the fish is the same. Then we have the calendar of fish seasons. So most of the season comes in 3 months at a time, or longer or shorter, but mostly 3 months at a time. So we know what's coming in next, and we do have this expectation. Oh, like I'm gonna be able to eat this next month, you know. So my theory is, and I might be wrong, but my theory is if you follow the spawning and molting, you would know when is the best time to eat it. And I always compare with pregnant lady. Pregnant lady from the beginning of the pregnancy to like middle, they're growing and they look beautiful and they get more hair, shiny and all the stuff. But as soon as they pop the baby out and they lose the hair and they're tired and they are like nothing left, you know, for a while until you recover. And the fish is the same. So like you wanna eat it when they have the energy. And you don't want to eat the fish giving everything out. And so I do think that's the key. And then I need a help on like scientists or like fishermen and also the chef. And so if we can create that, then we can bring excitement, look forward to something, and also like create a tradition. And for example, a month prior, hey, let's have a party and eat that stuff. Keep going. And it's almost like heirloom tomato. Such a thing didn't exist. And then nowadays, every year, everybody look forward to heirloom tomato in the summer. And you do something like, hey, get together, and I did some tomato dishes. And it's the same thing for the fish. And if you have the specific calendar, there's so many things will be organized. And fishermen can target more specifically how much you want to get in when. And then maybe you fish in certain time and fish a lot and freeze it. The best time, not the tired fish, but prime fish to be frozen. You can talk about the future menu concept with the chef. And there's a lot of organization you can do. And I think East Coast needs that, or America needs that. Okay. And another thing lacking is a variety. And if you go to, so there's a market in New York, indoor market called Photo Market. It's a wholesale market, but you can go there too. And it's huge. And there's a lot of vendors in there. And you go one, like, oh, okay, so like 4 or 5 species. And the second one, oh, 4 or 5 species, the same. Third one, 4 or 5 species. If you go 3, and it's enough. And there's no variety in there. And it's really boring. And when you go to Tokyo, Tsukiji, you'll be blown away about varieties. There's so many things that you would even imagine what it is. So I think we are all curious. And do you want to eat the same thing? Yes, some people like to eat the same thing all the time. Yes, but if you as a creator and a chef, you want to cook the same thing all the time? No, like you want to be able to do something new and be excited about, oh, what it is, and can I do this, can I do that? And it's important. right? But since, as I said, I'm a dead fish specialist, I only know what's brought in. And I don't go fishing, and I don't know. So I don't know what's in the ocean. And somebody please tell me, show me what's in there, and let me compare with what's being done in Japan, or what's being done with other cuisines. And we can introduce how it can be utilized so that we can bring more local species on the table. So I need help on that. Here. And, okay. So I do think this is really, really important for the fisheries now to do grading. So when we receive the fish, me as a buyer, when I receive fish, and all kind of grade are shoved in one box, and you separate it, then you find like a tiny bit of good stuff, and mostly the junk, and that's too bad. But when you harvested it, and if you look at the triangle, 10% will be the good fish, maybe like 40% will be the medium, rest of it is lower. And if you already know, you price it accordingly, right there. And there's a people who wants to have the cheap stuff, and there's a medium top. Then you get the money accordingly, and you don't have to waste. And I think grading will be the next key to the successful East Coast fishery, like American fishery, I would say. And so, no, in America, like often bigger is better, but that's not true. For example, in Japan, we have some fish change name 4 times in their life. Like 1 year is this, and fourth year is this. And every year, there's a characteristic changes. And smaller fish tend to be leaner. Of course, bigger fish tend to be fattier, let's say. But leaner fish, is it bad? No, like some of the spring and stuff, like you want to have something refreshing, and they would love to use less fattier stuff. And in the winter, like you feel like, I want to eat fattier stuff. And so like you really need to know species and what is good. And then from there, freshness and this and that, like grade it. And then present it. Then size does matter. Sizing is, when I talk about fish with chefs, always sizing. Sizing, sizing, sizing. And it's very important because they are the artists. They are trying to create something on a dish, and to make this, it has to be this size to make it like efficiently. And or maybe the flavor profile and maybe other reasons. Maybe my restaurant is smaller, so that if it's this, then I can use it perfectly, but if it's bigger, I will waste. There's a lots of different reasons, but I think it's really important to get to know so that waste will be minimum and everybody's happy. So this is very important. Next. Okay, so another thing is how you handle it, how you kill it. So lots of fish in America is nojime. Nojime means you let the fish die by themselves. And ikejime means you intentionally kill it so that they don't suffer. And the best will be they don't even know they're dead. That's the same as people, right? Like you don't want to die slowly bleeding, and please kill me right away. And that's so important. Fish does fear and get panicked. And when they fear and they create the chemicals, and that breaks, like I think it's a nervous sweat. Nervous sweat smells worse than other sweat, people say. The same thing. The chemical is infused. Yeah, adrenaline kicks in, temperature rise, and those will harm the meat quality. And you see the blood spot, and all those things are sign of the stress. So how can you minimize the stress? And that will be the key for the quality. And so in Japan, we do breeding. And also, if you want to be step above, then it's going to be spinal cord breaking. Okay, so let's talk about that. So benefit of ikejime. So ikejime, there's so many different ways of doing it. As long as you can kill quickly, especially from the brain, and you hit the brain, so like they go, then breathe it. So eliminate the stress and so the lactic acid and all the stuff. So if they don't fear, and if they properly start aging, and the amino acid comes out, and umami will be developed, and the flavor will be better. And so I have that here. I don't have to look up. Okay. And also, if you do that, you're gonna prolong the shelf life, and it's gonna hit the rigor mortis slower, and from there, like that means it will last longer, and so the decomposition will be slowing down. Then if you breathe out the fish, and the bacteria in fish is in the stomach, gill, and the scale, and the blood. And the bleeding out will minimize the bacteria growth, so it's safer. How to do it? So like I said, there's so many ways of doing it, but this is ultimate step. And it is called shinke nuki. Shinke is a nerve, and a nuki is like taking out, but actually you're breaking it. And you use this needle, so that where it's circled is brain of the fluke, right there. So like you hit, you go, then you open up and cut the tail, then you put it in ice water or room temperature water, then let it breathe while heart is pumping. Then you go, and when you look at the spine, it's like that, but this is not where it is. And when you really look at the spine, there's no hole in there, and it's just a marrow, and it's just a cup. And the nerve is a valve next to it. So like you find the hole, and you can go from the tail or from the head, but and kill the nerve. And as you do, you can really feel like you can feel the start from where it's killed, like they stop moving. And so if you can do this, the shelf life will be tremendously longer. And also meat quality and all stuff like level up, like 10 times. So I buy those fish, 2 different harvested methods. So this on the left-hand side is a 2 days old pound net called Southbound Flounder. These are two species in the East Coast you are allowed to call fluke. One is a summer flounder, one is a Southbound Flounder. And I buy this from North Carolina. And pound net means you have this cage and in the bottom, and they go in, and they take it out, and they kill it right away. And so throw cold, it goes from the bottom. And the stress level is so much higher. And they're already stressing out in a big net. And like you saw that Finding Nemo and like Dory, and like, the panic. And look, that's the difference. And do you see the one on the left is shining? And the light goes in, the translucency, and I always tell the guys, feel the life in a fillet. Do you feel the life? That is dead. And milky, like mushy, and the color is gone. And that's the fear, and that's the stress. And this one didn't have the stress. And when you look at inside of the fish, it tells what happened. And this is a result. Okay. And benefit of ikejime for commercial reasons, and once again, prolong the shelf life, and be able to charge more because of the quality. And I do think somewhere between $2 to $5 possible. And if you can do this consistently, not one time, consistently, then there's a people out there who's pay for it. Because when you really think about 50-pound box, consistently 4 fish are not usable, how much money you're wasting? But if you can use the whole package, every single fish, and no hassle, they don't need to pick and choose. They always know they can count on you. It's pristine. So that's a really, really attractive thing for the chefs and the retailers. And so every single fish is checked, so like the percentage of returning will be very, very minimum. And also when they complain, you know what to say. Are you sure? Maybe you don't know, And so another important thing is, if you can do this consistently, the image of your company will be up, and you can do the branding, and you can be special. And I think it's very important. So another thing I struggle with when I get American fish is the packing. I always say, so I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when you buy commercial thing, they always have this brown wax box, like this thick, this tall, and this big. And they contain about 50 pounds of fish, no matter what type of fish, 50 pounds. They put anything in there, like long or small or big, it's shoved in there, 50 pounds. That's not good. That shouldn't be that way. And America put everything in one box. Japan makes box for each product. So I want to show you that. So for example, in America, that would be once again, like this, like that, and with a direct ice. And so for example, like silverfish like that is really, really soft. And we use ocean water, like slushy water, slurry. Then we often use ultraviolet to kill the bacteria, and use this silver insulation paper, and it keeps the temperature super chill. Then you see like most of them has film, like a plastic film on it, so that you don't have direct contact with ice. And when for them, it's almost like us touching the dry ice. It burns. And the direct ice is too cold. And some of the Japanese fish company, when they ship Japanese fish to America, they use this styrofoam net type of thing in between the fish and gel ice, so that air goes in, but it's not directly touching. And so you really want to create the refrigerator in the box. You want to have the bottom ice and top ice, and some kind of plastic film on plastic, and like some styrofoam thing and ice. So that will air generate in a box like that, and that would be the ideal. And cold air always goes down. So you don't want to have just one ice on top or the bottom. You want to have both ice and generate the temperature. So temperature from the harvest to the location. If you can chill the fish as fast as you can, then from there, keeps the temperature all the way, almost frozen, but not frozen. That temperature all the way to the customer, fish will be shiny, and fish will last for a long time. Okay, so next. So I emphasize add stories. Chefs are curious, and whoever deal with fish, we want to know stories. Which town it's coming from, and what's the geological characteristic, and is it mountain and a river meets, and the nutrition of the mountain goes into the river, and minerals are there, stuff like that. And water temperature, like warm current and the cold temperature meets, and two current, and they're swimming more, so that the muscle is, the exercise, so the muscle is tighter, or like anything. They want to know everything. And another thing, they want to know what they've been eating. And they say, if you can describe what's been out there for the food, and especially the shellfish, squid, they're like a number one food. And if we hear that, I'm like, oh, okay, it's tasty. And that's how I feel. Oh, squid and shellfish, that's fantastic, you know. So think about that, like, and think about the story, and of course fishing method, and a correct name, and people invent name, and it's no. And they put themselves in trouble. So give the correct name from the beginning, so that they don't mess it up. And fishing method, and what else was? Yeah. If possible, if you are very confident, put your name on. Name of the vessel, even your picture, they will love it. And story is everything. And a sushi restaurant is a very unique style of restaurant, face-to-face with the customer. How many food is like that? And plus, you charge that much. More stories they can talk, they shine. And it is a sushi bar is a theater. More they can talk, makes them shine. And more expensive the product is, you need story. And server is the salesperson, and go to the restaurant and educate the server, and makes them be able to speak more. They love that, you know. And if you can do that, and you can sell, you can add maybe $10 more. I saw lots of expensive stuff. Some people who likes expensive stuff doesn't like cheap stuff. You know, they feel like, keep going, you know, just sell, and add stories. And another most important thing, when somebody complains, that's the best opportunity. Most of the people don't take time to say something. If they say something, listen to it. And even though you don't agree with it, listen to it. And I recommend to pick 1 or 2 restaurants, like you think you can listen to their opinion, and you think it's legit. Within the market, if possible, they're respected in the society. And so listen to it, and always call and get the feedback, and get to know. And then you started to learning about what you are saying as well. And more you know, and the more you can talk about exactly what you are saying, and the chances are higher. So the beginning of the presentation, there was my picture at the peeking. That was a magazine article for one of my customers called, no, they don't exist anymore, but the restaurant name was Sebo. And sushi chefs, they were not Japanese. One was Japanese and black. And another one is a white guy with a covered with tattoo. And those are the one who was doing a traditional sushi in Hayes Valley. And it was pretty expensive. But I really liked them. And how, they and I was the same. We learned stuff in America. We are really falling in love with this Japanese preciseness and the minimalism beauty. And we found the beauty in sushi. So we did lots of collaboration, and they gave me a budget. And I know how many different kinds of fish and shellfish they need. So according to that, I set their order, import from Japan, getting from East Coast, and I set it up. And sometimes I put unique stuff in there, whatever it is. So that was a very good tool for me to sell to Western restaurant. And I wanted to sell something to Western restaurant, tell them, go to Sebo, they will have that today. And instead of me explaining, eat it and think what you think. And because they could speak English, they're not Japanese, and they're so passionate about the product, they sold it for me. So it works for everybody. And if you can be collaborated with a chef like that, and it's fun, and it is really beneficial for all of us. So then last, I just kind of listed up the fish in Massachusetts, which one has a potential for sashimi, grade fish. And I'm sure there are more things in the ocean, but which I don't know, because I don't know. Yep. So I think that's it for me, and thank you very much. Oh, sure. Okay.
Thank you very much. And we have time for questions from the audience.
I have my friend from San Francisco.
Oh.
Yes.
You talked about fish and what they eat being important. I didn't see, is it tautog? Is that a fish that you heard or know of from?
Tautog. Yes, tautog.
Yeah.
Blackfish?
Yeah. They eat like lobsters and clams.
Yes.
Logically, they would eat.
So the question is, so what is the question?
Well, I didn't see it on the list. Is it used in restaurants or is it not available
No, are they around here?
in Rhode Island, I think? Yeah.
Rhode Island. Okay. I visit the fish from Massachusetts.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, tautog is is tautog a sashimi-grade fish? Yes. And I think it's a fantastic fish. And when you look at go like this, their teeth, oh my God, I'm such a nerd, but I love looking at the fish teeth. And some of them, you can just look at it, you can tell what they've been eating. The teeth are like double braid almost, and so that's another sign. Some of the fish doesn't even have teeth, but those with this human-looking teeth, they tend to eat like really hard shellfish, and yeah. But another thing about ones in a rocky area, and you need to eat it quickly, and they release some kind of smell. I don't know what it is, but tautog is amazing fish. And also they do have the pound net called tautog. So the harvest method right there is amazing. And also you see the live fish when you go to Chinese places, Korean places, in a live tank, you often see tautog. Yeah, so there's a potential there. Yeah, yes.
It's kind of a silly question, but
Nothing is silly.
if you could only eat one fish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
If I can eat something,
Which is your favorite?
my favorite fish, I don't know. I think I lasted in seafood, not in the meat industry, because of the variety of things I can eat. And I don't know. Some of the stuff I don't really like, but most of it I like. I don't have one. Yes.
On one of your slides, you talked about the fishermen grading and talked about, like prime grade and all that sort of stuff. Are those grades available? Because like in land-based agriculture, there's no grading available in New England. You have to go to Pennsylvania to find somebody who is certified by the Agricultural Marketing Service to grade your beef. And
Are you talking about beef?
yeah, in beef. And so when you're saying like prime, are those specs for grades available? Or do people get trained and certified in them?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. So her question is there a specific grading system available in America? I think what exists is tuna, and maybe a little bit for salmon. But for other fish, I think it's just the experience. And for example, like in Uoriki, and when I buy fluke, I grade it into 3 different grades. Sashimi-grade in 2 different levels, and also cooking level. But that's something I came up with. And also I do lots of quality check for aquaculture, like salmon farms. And I do list up all the characteristics, like do they have how much drip comes out, and the coloration, flavor, texture, if the vacuum seals are intact. Like you just list up many things, and I grade it into 1 to 5, and so that I just keep doing consistently, and I give the feedback to the farm, so that it always comes in a number, so they can see like, oh, like my number goes up and down, because I realize people don't really understand, and somebody's big and somebody's small, so you need to have some kind of measurement, and I think we need to develop that. Yes.
Are American fishermen beginning to take the extra special care in killing, bleeding?
American fishermen take care of the killing method. I was doing fluke with IMP, no IMP, Uoriki, because fluke is the only one within East Coast fisheries. It's really common to do breeding. And even this American, the commercial market called photo market, they sell in two different names, sushi fluke and just fluke. Sushi fluke are bred out. And but long time ago, Japanese fish companies, they asked Long Island fishermen and East Coast fishermen, I pay you more, can you do this? They train them. And fluke, I think what happened with fluke is extremely sensitive fish. They go back, they're perishable. They go back quickly. So I think other stuff kind of survive, but fluke was not. So I think the development. So fluke, yes, and I think the interest is there.
Any Maine fishermen doing this?
So can I ask Jen to talk about our
Yes,
work
Jen.
for a couple of minutes? Jen Levin's in the audience, and she runs our sustainable seafood program. And she befriended
Yes.
Mika.
I'm here because of her.
I can't resist the moment to say what GMRI is doing in this realm in partnership with Mika. So thank you, Jen.
Come on, Jen.
I didn't want to do this. So with Mika's help, we have been training fishermen in Maine and Massachusetts to implement the Ikejime fish kill method and working to establish.
We are going to.
Well, we've been training them.
Oh, you are?
Oh, yeah, you went to you were at our workshop
Oh,
in
okay.
Boston. You remember?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with Michael McNicholas's help as well. So we have been training fishermen on this Ikejime fish kill method, and we are now working to implement the supply chain necessary to bring that product to markets like Uoriki Fresh and other high-end retailers and chefs who are looking for it.
I
So
hope.
thank you for your help on that.
Yeah, okay.
Are they showing up in Portland restaurants now?
Not yet. Not yet. It's coming. It's coming.
It's a big shift, and it's going to take time.
Because I think it will be complicated. We have to figure what we are doing here, because most of the fish are caught with troll coat or the drag. Then from there, by itself, is difficult to bring it up. So like we really need to look into fundamentals, and also maybe list up the species here, and then list up the species in, for example, like this. I was telling somebody, so species here equals species in Hokkaido Island in Japan. And maybe you can check what they do over there, because the same species are in a better quality. And also another place you can compare with is Scandinavians. And the Scandinavians are good with building. And there's Vikings. They are good with building boats and doing really well with harvesting. And they do have clean practice. And I think compare species, compare the harvest method, and come up with what is the best. And start with small, and do what you can do within what you are doing right now, and then like make the bigger change later. That's what I think. Yes.
Question?
Do you have an opinion as to whether on vessel harvesting practices, so we kill and package and all that and all those sorts of things versus just killing and icing and bringing to a fillet house or whatever here on shore? Is there a gigantic difference in quality, and does the cost differential of the ships that are required for at sea harvest and packaging, like is there a market there?
Can you make it a little bit easier?
So
Uh-huh.
if you have, there's so much that goes into processing fish,
Mhm.
like all the things that you have to do for safety and quality,
Mhm.
and to get it the way that your customer would want it, right? Is there a huge difference in doing that at sea, the way they do it on the West Coast, versus the way we do it on the East Coast, where we catch them at sea, and we kill them and we chill them, and then we bring them back to shore?
Okay, so her question is to process in the vessel, on the vessel, or bring the fish back to the port in the process is a huge difference. I do think so, but at the same time, depending on how long the trip is, right? So if your boat is built to trip for like a week, of course do it on the vessel. no point holding the fish for 5 days. And then by the time you process it, it's a garbage. Yes, but if you have the day boat, right? So maybe just do it on the kill on the boat and chill it on the way back, because it takes time for the fish to be cold up to the core. So that depending on how long the trip is. But making it on the boat makes sense to me. Why not?
Do you think, so fishermen in the U.S., do you think the fishermen in the U.S. go to sea with a goal to catch as much weight as possible? Whereas if they went to sea with the goal to catch $10,000, would be a better goal?
So Michael's question is, now they look at us, oh, my quota is 3,000 pounds, and I would like to go out and 1,000 at a time, or like 1,000 pounds of fish, you sell $1 and $1,000, but you catch, I'm not good at this, like a smaller amount, but you make the same, you charge the same amount. To me, I prefer the smaller amount, and I think it needs to go that way. I mean, if you want to make change, it needs to be that way. But you have to be consistent. Otherwise, no point. 1 time, 2 times, it's no point. And if you're going to make a change, stick with it, and always bring the same quality.
And I think that's where we have to end it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.